Hi, I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections, and today I'm going to show you how to repair loose hardware at a casement window, also known as a crank-out window. So as far as I'm concerned, there are three levels of repair when it comes to loose hardware at a casement window. And I'm talking about the hardware that attaches to the sash itself. When that stuff starts coming loose, it means that the screws are coming out because you've got deteriorated wood. Now, the worst case is where the whole bottom of the sash is falling apart. I had that at one of my windows many years ago, and I made a video documenting all of the steps it took me to repair it. I had to take the whole sash out of the window, and I had to take out a whole bunch of rotted wood, had to cut it all out, piece in new wood, get it all to match, and paint it and sand it, and it was a lot of steps. It was a big deal. That's what I consider a level 3 repair. Now, a level 1 repair. This is where your screws are just a little bit loose. It's super simple to fix it. You get larger screws, you take out the old screws, you get slightly larger screws, maybe a little bit thicker, a little bit longer, and you replace the existing screws with new ones. That will buy you a lot of time. When I moved into the home I'm in now, probably 5 years ago, I had that on a couple of my windows, and I removed the old screws, I put in bigger ones, and it's worked really well up until today. Today, on these same windows, the hardware has come loose again, and it means that I'm kind of out of options. I can't just put in larger screws. You can't keep kicking this can down the road forever. At this point, I'd say it's time for a level 2 repair. That's what I'm calling it. And I'm going to walk you through the whole process here. And I'm going to try to get a little bit fancy with this. I probably went a little bit over the top on a few of my steps, got a little bit fancier than I needed to, but why not? It's all for demonstration purposes. So the first step, and I'm going to walk you through all this stuff. I got my GoPro camera. The first step is to remove the old hardware. Let's head up to the bedroom and take a look. So I'm going to start out by adjusting the crank arm right to the spot about halfway through the hardware, and that lets you push it down and slide it out of place, just like this. So we're going to adjust that crank handle a little bit, get that out of the way. Next, I'm going to take a slotted screwdriver and slide this little clip out of place, and that lets you finish removing the hardware. We're going to push the window open. You can see the window just opens freely now. I'm going to crank that hardware out of the way, and now I'm going to take a Phillips and I'm going to remove both of these screws that are loosely holding the hardware in place. I could almost just take it out with my fingers, but you know, let's not waste any time. With the hardware removed, I picked up a 1/2-inch wooden oak dowel. Doesn't have to be half, whatever size you got works. And I'm going to chop the end off for a nice clean end, and I'm going to make 2 small wooden dowels. They're each going to be a little bit shorter than the thickness of the window, maybe about 7/8 of an inch long, something like that. I didn't measure, I just kind of eyeballed it. That's good enough. Next, I'm going to drill some holes, but before I do that, I thought it might be fun to demonstrate a couple of different drill bits. On the one side, you've got your standard twist drill bit at the bottom here, and the upper drill bit is called a Forstner bit, and it ends up drilling a hole that has a very flat bottom. It's kind of a fancier drill bit, more of a woodworker's bit. It's much fancier than we need to do here, but I have a set of them, so I thought, let's use them for this demonstration. And as you can see, on the Forstner bit, we've got a very flat bottom. On the standard twist drill bit, it kind of creates a cone shape at the bottom. Either one will do, but we just went super fancy with this. You can see a little better when I hold this block of wood up to the camera for demonstration. And either way, if I take my 1/2-inch wooden dowel, I shove it in there, either one, well, kind of, either one is going to hold it very tightly. Okay, now that we got that figured out, we need to set the depth for the drill bit, because when we're drilling into the wood, you don't want to drill through the back side of the window, and you don't want to make your hole too short either. So I lined up approximately what the depth could be. And you know, the super simple way to do it is to just take a piece of tape. You use duct tape or masking tape, whatever it is, put that on your drill, and when you drill the hole, once you get to the tape, you're good. That's really all you need to do. But I happen to have some depth guides, and these are nice if you're drilling a whole ton of holes or you want to be really precise with your depth. You can use these little rings where it's got a set screw in there, and my set screw is set a little bit too deep right now. I got to back it out, and then I backed it all the way out here. But we're going to back out that set screw. I slide the ring onto the drill bit, and then we're going to pop that set screw back into place. And I'll have to grab an Allen wrench here to tighten it down all the way. But once you've got this ring attached firmly to the drill bit, that's as far as you end up drilling. And you don't need to worry about over drilling when you got this thing attached to your drill bit. They're kind of handy to have. And I will say, I did this off camera. I tightened it here, but then I redid it, and I set the depth just a little bit deeper because I didn't want to deal with a hole that wasn't deep enough, which would mean that my dowel would stick out proud from the window. Next, take my drill bit, drill my holes. Simple and straightforward. On the second hole, you can see where the wood kind of comes apart a little bit more than it should. It's indicating the wood is a little bit soft. This is a lot easier to go in than it should have been. But we're going to fix all that. With that done, it's time to take my wooden dowels, goop them up with a little bit of wood glue. We're not going crazy here, because if I put a ton of glue around the whole outside, once I push that dowel into place, all that glue would just kind of get pushed out the front, and I'd have a big old mess to clean up. So just a dab of glue is all I really need here. I'm going to wipe that all around the outside of the dowel with my finger, and I'll tell you, this ended up being so tight, I could probably almost get away with not gluing it at all. But of course, we have to glue it. So we'll insert that one, repeat the process for the next one. You get it. I'll speed this up a little bit here so you don't have to be too bored. We'll shove that into place, shove them both in, and then I'll get the world's cutest, tiniest little hammer, and we'll just tap those into place. And I'm just tapping it in until it's not sitting proud. That's a good depth. And then I'll grab my wet paper towel, which I have standing by, and wipe off the excess glue. Next, I'm going to let that sit. I actually let it sit overnight just to make sure it's set up. Probably didn't need to. Next step is to take my bracket, line up where the holes need to go, mark them with my awl, and then drill some pilot holes. And for the pilot holes, I'm not getting super fancy with this. I just picked a bit that's a little bit smaller than the screws. I'm not setting a depth on this. I'm just eyeballing it. It's probably not as deep as it could be, but that's okay. My screw will happily push the rest of the wood out of the way. It'll work fine. I happen to have some paint that matches really well. I think it was the original paint used here. It doesn't match perfectly now that it's weathered for the last 5 years, but it's pretty darn close. So we'll get that all painted up, and then we'll come back to it tomorrow. But I thought I'd share my little flub. I thought it was water-based paint. It was not. When I went to clean it, it just smeared all over my hands and all over the bottom of my sink. It was a mess. The appropriate product was mineral spirits to clean my brush. Yeah, okay, slight delay. All right, fast forward, next day, paint is dried, and it's time to put the hardware back in place. I line up my screws, tighten it in here, and I'm pretty much ready to go at this point. With the hardware reattached, all I need to do is connect the operator arms, and they go back on the exact same way they came off. I'm foolishly trying to use my thumb to lock it into place. No way. Got to use the slotted screwdriver. That clips it into place nicely. and then we slide it back into place. We get exactly halfway across, and the crank arm pops into place, and that's it. We're done. You saw the whole product, or whole project, excuse me, from start to finish. And now the windows open and close exactly the way they should. There's no loose hardware driving me absolute bonkers, and I'm happy with this. I think this is gonna last longer than I'm in this house. Okay, that's all I got for you today. Again, I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.